What is up, my beautiful mates of YouTube? My name is Aussie Marcel, and in today's video we're going to be looking at the top 5 summer fragrances that you may not have tried yet. It's warming up in America and in the Northern Hemisphere, so I thought I would cater a video to you guys in particular. It's cooling down here in Australia, but before I release a winter video, I wanted to get the Northern Hemisphere out of the way. So these are some fragrances you may not have tried before, so if that sounds good to you, let's get into the video.
Die Verbrennung der
Starting things off with my fragrance of the day, Burberry Brit Rhythm. This is a very attractive fragrance, make no bones about it. I will say that I knew this fragrance was going to be a hit when my little sister told me that it smelled like Versace. I went to work that day, and yeah, it does have like a slightly, how would you say, youthful Versace quality to it. It's actually a very attractive fragrance. It's not as leathery as I would like. It's not as leathery as, say, Burberry Brit Rhythm Intense, which I much prefer, but this is more expensive. This one though, it's a little more aromatic. It's a little warmer, spicier, with less of an emphasis on that leather. But for under $60 Australian, if the only thing you're looking for is solid compliments, then you can do a hell of a lot worse than this. So if you're after something that goes in the direction of a lot of the Versace scents, maybe this one's gonna be for you. I'd recommend checking it out. It's great for compliments, and it's got just enough leather in it that it makes me interested in it. So alrighty then, top 5 favorite fragrances for the warmer weather, for the summery weather. And these are not going to be what you expect, and I'm going to go from cheapest to most expensive. So let's start off with the bottom, the cheapest fragrance, French Connection UK Rebel. Now, this is one of those fragrances that initially you're going to look at it and you're going to go, that's going to smell like trash. I can tell by looking at it. Give it a chance, guys. Come on. This reminds me of how men's fragrances used to smell when I was growing up. When my dad would buy stuff, he'd buy whatever Ed Hardy fragrance was most popular. You know, he's one of those blokes. Man, it's got a little bit of an aquatic vibe to it. It's got a little bit of a greenness here. Touch of citrus up the top. Some woods, but it's actually quite a bit musky as well. This is a very attractive fragrance. French Connection UK are a slept-on brand. Like French Connection Friction is this really prominently lavender forward fragrance, and this is sort of like that but with musk. It's got this slightly spicy, musky quality, but it's like a fresh musky. It's actually very attractive. $14 to $15 Australian. I've seen this on eBay go for as low as $5 a bottle. There are sort of certain pharmacies out there that have a bulk quantity of this and they're trying to get rid of it, so keep your eyes peeled for that. But yeah, this for $15 punches well above its weight. It actually is very attractive and I would highly recommend it. If you're the type of guy that wants to wear a fragrance just to get positive attention from the ladies, I would highly recommend checking this one out. Performance for FC UK Rebel is about 6 hours, 5 to 6 hours with 3 or 4 sprays, but this isn't a particularly strong fragrance, so you can overspray it a little bit and you won't have any problems. This is worth your time, it's worth your $15, and I would say this puts a lot of $30 fragrances to shame. Give it a chance, check it out. Next up, for about the $25 to $30 Australian price point, and you can find bottles for less than $40 on eBay, we've got Versace Man Blue Jeans. Blue Jeans is an iconic fragrance. It reminds me of a very beautiful time in my life, and this is one of the only fragrances I reckon I will use all of, and then I will have to buy a replacement. If you see this online and it says Versus Blue Jeans, don't be alarmed, it's the exact same scent. For some reason Versace kind of tried to branch their lower stack stuff as Versus, but they've since changed that, so don't be off-put if you find a bottle of this but it's Versus Blue Jeans. It's the exact same thing. This is aromatic, it's super synthetic, super fresh, This is a sexy beach weather fragrance. I would highly recommend it. It's got a little bit of citrus in the opening, but it's very aromatic. It reminds me a little bit of Coca-Cola. I think I might be the only person here on YouTube that sort of says that, but you know, that's just how I perceive it. It's got a sort of soft drink, an effervescent soft drink sort of vibe. It's very attractive. It's as you can tell, you'll often see in my videos I'm showing off fragrances and they're barely used, but this one I've used over half of it, and there's a good reason for that, and that's because it's bloody sexy. So check it out. It's ideal for the hot weather. Versace Blue Jeans for Men. This is an exceptional performing fragrance for the money. We're talking about 7 hours with 4 sprays. Because it's so strong, I wouldn't advise overspraying it, but if you're somebody that likes to wear 4 sprays, then go right ahead. It smells attractive, it smells fresh, do whatever you want. Moving on. Next up, I've seen this go for $40 and I've seen it go for upwards of $60 Australian. We've got Le Bleu d'Issy pour Homme by Issey Miyake. Now, this sort of blew up a few years ago in the fragrance spaces online, at least from what I remember. And it is a very unique fragrance. Fresh, aromatic, sort of, it's got this herbal quality to it. And it's got a note of ambergris as well. So it's actually got a lot of performance, and the atomizer is fantastic as well. It is one of the most unique men's fragrances you will smell. I prefer this significantly over L'Odyssée pour Homme, the classic Issey Miyake fragrance, just because it's like a blue version of that, and I'm not just saying it because of the bottle. There is a herbaceous element to this, and it doesn't just smell sort of tart with that yuzu note. There's a lot of layers here, there's a lot of depth. It's a very complex fragrance for the price point. Performance is also exceptional for a fresh scent. Performance for Le Bleu d'Issy is over 8 hours with 2 sprays. Because of the ambergris, it's actually a very potent scent, so I would recommend not overspraying this one. But with 3 or 4 sprays, you're gonna get 12 hours plus performance, and that is an absolute awesome amount of performance for something as fresh as this. This is probably the fragrance of the bunch to check out. If you could only check out one fragrance here, I would recommend this. But it does have that aromatic herbal quality that people aren't going to love. It's almost like it's cypress. It's got a little bit of a green pine needle quality to it. I think it smells fantastic. Next up, for about $60 Australian. These have recently gone up in price, unfortunately. We've got Boys de Yuzu by Karl Lagerfeld. This fragrance, like the original L'Odyssée pour Homme by Issey Miyake, features that really delicious Japanese citrus note of yuzu. It's very attractive, it's very fresh, it's very tart. Oh, this one is citrusy up top with that yuzu, and then it's got a really woody, fresh base. Very attractive. Performance for this one's about 7 hours with 3 sprays. I'm just gonna waste a spray for you guys right now. The way that the yuzu is presented here is so natural. It just makes me happy to smell a fragrance like this. It smells absolutely awesome. And I have seen this on clearance at price lines for less than $40. So if you're after something that is a little cheaper than $60, perhaps ask around, go up to the shopkeeper and see if they can sell it to you a little cheaper. I've done that before and it's worked wonders for me. But yeah, this one, highly recommend checking it out. The note of yuzu is so underappreciated in the fragrance world today. And just because you may not have heard of this particular note doesn't mean you shouldn't check it out. And that goes for any fragrance in the world. Just because it isn't something that is super popular on Amazon or with teenagers doesn't mean you should just dismiss it. You know, not every fragrance can be as popular as Dior Sauvage or Paco Rabanne's 1 Million. So get out there, try new things. You will benefit from that, and that is a guarantee. And finally, we have Hugo Boss Reversed. Now, I picked this up on clearance for $40, but I have seen this more regularly around the $70 price point. And it says on the back right here, a breakthrough in freshness combining sparkling citrus notes with the power of the woods. It does smell a little different from the Hugo Boss Man that you're probably more familiar with. but it's still pretty attractive as well. It's fresh, spicy, woody, with some citrus up top. It's got bergamot, lemon. It's almost like a lemon rind to my nose. And that sort of fresh, spicy, woody quality at the bottom of all this, at the base. It's just a very attractive fragrance. Hugo Boss, I don't think they've ever let me down in regards to a fragrance. Hugo Boss do have some generic smelling fragrances, but that just comes with the territory of releasing so many fragrances every year. Obviously, some of them are going to cater to a more mass appealing sort of taste. Despite this being a very mass appealing and safe sort of fragrance, it does smell a little different than your typical freshie. Hugo Boss Reversed is a little different because the way that the citrus is presented, it sort of reminds me of like candied lemon peel. It's got this really beautiful, effervescent quality to the fragrance, and Hugo Boss make fragrances that people, if you're in Australia, you've probably tasted Solo or Lift before. It's like lemon, soft drink, fizzy drink, whatever you want to call it around the world. Whether you call it soft drink, pop, soda, doesn't really matter. This smells like a lemon flavored soft drink with some woods at the bottom of it. It smells friggin' awesome. And for the $70 price point, it's probably a less generic option than, let's say, Hugo Boss Man or Hugo Boss Iced, both of which smell good but do err towards the more generic side. So I would recommend Hugo Boss Reversed. If you've ever worn these fragrances before, let me know in the comments below. I can't wait to hear what you guys have to say. And I also want to know what your fragrance for the summertime, for the hot weather is. What do you tend to gravitate towards? Let us know in the comments below. I'm sure we're going to get some amazing responses here. We always do on this channel. It's a place of love in the comments, and that's what I aim for. So until the next video, my name is Aussie Marcel, and I'll catch you beautiful people around.